So I'm here with Kalpesh Patel, all the way from Dubai, but that's no distance because we're online. And I'm having an authentic conversation with Kalpesh, who has, I judge, more money mastery than I do. But we'll explore that. And it was a personal conversation. And I said to you, Kalpesh, can we record it? And because it might be a benefit to others. So we're just kind of checking in with each other at the moment. Kelps, just so I've got my own thing and I'm just aware that other people will see this. So I'll just say, because it's my next question for me, it's like, what are you up to? Like, how do you spend your day? You live in Dubai. What do you do? What's your kind of day-to-day role
Uh,
or work?
Good. So first of all, thank you for recording a conversation. Also, initially supposed to be just private, and you feel inspired to share whatever comes out. So, no idea what's going to transpire in this conversation, but looking forward to it nonetheless.
Yes.
My day is pretty relaxed, to be honest. I've got into a very good routine over the last few months, but if I rewind a little bit, I mean, I've spent most of my life working crazy as an entrepreneur since I was like 11 years old. I have not stopped to the point that my brain is wired in such a different way to most people's, right? By default, it's not, I don't want to sit there and claim glory for it. I got exposed to stuff at such a young age and it directed me in certain ways that have ended up with, my brain working the way it does, right? So, for me, weekends and weekdays aren't separate. It's funny, just before you mentioned that Mondays aren't your best day of the week. In my brain, there's just that those distinctions don't exist. Like every day is just a day. Because an entrepreneur, you work every day, right? Like when I was little, my dad had a shop 7 days a week. We would be in the shop. I'd be getting up at 5 in the morning just so I could be with him. At the age of 10, I was at the time, 10 years old, he bought a shop. And I'd wake up myself, self motivated, to hang out with him. Imagine, like how many 10-year-olds are thinking, I'm going to wake up at 5 in the morning so I can do that. And as a result, I would help him with the papers, get the shop ready, do the rounds, whatever needed to be done, bits and bobs. And he was a very, very incredible human being and would share nuggets through the time that we'd be together. There's always nuggets to learn from him. Very wise man. And he included me in all the shop stuff. So he never held anything back. What we buy, we'd go to cash and carry together. He'd get me because I had a very naturally mathematical brain from a very young age. They call me the human calculator. I could add things up at lightning speed in my head without even blinking an eyelid. So we'd go to cash and carry, and he'd be like, "Oh, here's the product cost, and we have to add VAT. How much would it be? How much is the VAT on that?" And I'd spit out the number in like a few seconds, and they'd be like, "Okay, and how much would that make? Like if we were buying a box of crisps, 48 packets, it'd be like, how much is the cost of each packet then?" Give him an answer. So he whether consciously or unconsciously, I don't know if he was doing it, but he'd be training me if you like. And so, yeah, I don't have days. I just have get up and go. So,
Great. Yeah, and what you've given me, and I feel like there's definitely a shift because someone I saw yesterday was saying exactly the same thing. Like Monday's a great day, like it's the start of a day. That's still another labeled day,
yeah,
It's a great day.
I
It's a
mostly have
day.
no clue what day it is. Yeah, mostly. If you ask me what day, I often have to ask people what day is it? Tuesday, Thursday, or Wednesday? Like I genuinely don't care, no, and I don't care because it doesn't make any difference to me. It only makes a difference if I've got to do something on a certain day because the world requires that. Like there's something that exists in a diary. But other than that, my personal diary is circular or kind of just
Hmm.
flows one day into the next. So yeah, I'm really blessed for that. In terms of my days now, I wake up in the morning, get to the gym for not like an aggressive workout guy. I've hated the gym my whole life. I've never done it, but the last few months I've taken it on as a practice just because I've started enjoying it. So yeah, I'll do like 20 minutes of stretching, like yoga, tai chi, just general stretches on the mat, hanging on a bar, stuff like that. And then I'll do 20 minutes of light weights just to get some weights in there. And then I will spend the rest of the day kind of just pottering around, doing bits and bobs, having conversations with people that I'm in touch with for whatever reasons it might be, helping people, work through their stuff, whatever they're going through, or just generally being in touch with people. I've I'm one of those people. I've been in touch with people my whole life. I don't let go of relationships frivolously. I'm not like I don't go into full-time relationship mode with everyone all the time, but I've been in touch with people for 20, 30 years of my life and tons of them. So, I'm always messaging, calling, chatting, voicing, just one of the things I just do. So I do lots of that through the day. I love Netflix. I watch a bit of Netflix here and there. And then, yeah, I eat normally twice a day, but I'm currently practicing a once a day OMAD. So I'm doing that as well, which is cool. Then in the evening, jump back in the gym for a quick stretch, 15, 20 minutes, and then sauna, steam, 10, 15 minutes each, and hit the sack. Pretty cool. Just that's it. In the background, I'm working on a project of my own, which I've been developing for a couple of years. It's a platform that I've been working on. But yeah, other than that, just free flow, really, freestyle.
Amazing.
Open to
And
conversations like this.
say again.
Open to conversations like this, right?
Yeah, amazing. I mean, what a pleasure and a joy. I mean, as you say, like conversations, I mean, like everything is life is a conversation, and if you're
Exactly.
having them, that's life, which is
Yeah,
amazing.
100%.
So often you get
Yeah,
so
if you say, what do I do? What does my day look? Conversations, lots of conversations. And I'm glad you recorded this because I often have in my head, like, I should get one of those devices. I've seen them that people hang around their neck and it just records everything they do throughout the day because I do have some really mega blessed conversations.
that's a heck of an interesting point now, because my immediate physical impulse was like, oh God, no, like what about my life, like privacy and blah 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 blah, right? But I also recognize, like, and thank you for stepping up to this. What if I just had a little sign here or something that said, this conversation is being recorded. Let me know if you don't want it to be recorded. And what's really fascinating is people just they like just forget it and they just roll into conversation. I was having a beautiful conversation. Such a good idea. This like I noticed inspiration and resistance for me. I was having a conversation with a guy today, and it was golden. And I said to him, "Hey man, do you want to just record this?" He's, nah, don't do social media. I'm not that guy. He's a plumber. Blah blah blah. Like. But I bet if it had just been kind of around my neck or whatever it was, fucking head torch, uh, he probably would have just carry on.
Carried on. Yeah.
Really interesting. Really interesting. Yeah. So, Carlos, why I reached out to you was around, let's call it wealth mindset, money mindset, and I
Yeah.
want to hear kind of a shortened version, a CV, if you like, of where, you mentioned a bit about your dad and growing up in that environment and being quick with numbers and so on and so forth. There's a lot I don't know about you, but it'd be really great just to do a little kind of flash CV. And because, so that's what I'm going to ask you to do in a moment. And then like for me, why I reached out to you and actually was Erkan who said, I was like, man, I gotta get this goddamn money thing sorted out, sorted out. And he said, well, speak to Kalpesh, like he's good at that stuff. And so for me, my kind of where I'm at with money is classic, like I get it, I spend it, I'm self-employed, I don't really save it. Um, I live on hope, like, oh, it's gonna come, like no problem. And I do my work and stuff, but it's not sustainable.
Mm,
I should be, or maybe say something different about this, but like thinking about the future, it's like so that's what I'm interested in, and you'll have some questions for me, I suspect. But that's kind of why I'm interested, and who knows what kind of nuggets I might pick up from you.
sure. So, and I love that you're in that inquiry because otherwise nothing gets resolved. Most people don't ever ask these questions, right? They're just on auto repeat every day, which is fine. And then they deal with it that way. But for people that do press pause and think about it, they do produce a whole different outcome. So
Thank you.
that's the good news out of this. For me, money is uh, it's this thing that happens as a byproduct of whatever I'm doing, right? And so because I'm mindful of it, I can cause it to happen in times and places where a lot of people might not. So what do I mean? I'll give an example. I'm 11 years old, and that's when it first showed up, right? So from 10 to 11, I'm in training with my dad in the shop every day, every morning, every evening after school, absorbing, just being involved in the family business. It was a shop in the city, so just, the basics: buy something for this, sell it for this much, keep the difference, etc. When I was 11, I went to secondary school, and there was a tuck shop. And instantly my brain, because it already had a map of what things cost, looked at the prices of the tuck shop and said, oh, there's a margin to be had. And it didn't take me long. I went home, said, listen, Dad, there's a shop at school, sells all the stuff here. How about we do a deal? I fill my bag up with goodies. I go and sell it to my mates during lunchtime or during the breaks. And whatever I make, I keep, and whatever the goods cost, I give to you. And he was like, yeah, cool, whatever. He's like, very encouraging. He's like, yeah, no problem. As long as you're not doing anything illegal, happy days. And back then, the schools weren't anti any of this stuff. It was fine. So I made my first profit when I was 11 years old, independently as an entrepreneur. I did it without any investment, zero money in. I borrowed stock from my dad's shop, sold it, came back, kept the profit, gave him the difference. That little simple learning at age 11, I still apply today. Most people never ever experience that activity. Can you see? So when I say that my whole life was shaped with these decisions that for me I do my best to not take for granted, but almost can't help but take for granted because it's so deeply embedded in my subconscious. But making a profit where it's available, doing it is automatic for me. There's no thought process, there's no figuring stuff out. I've never built a business plan. So the game just got bigger, the conversations got bigger, if you like, as I went through life. But I've never had a business plan. So fast forward, that little business, by the time I was 15, 16 years old, I was selling Shell tracksuits like Sergio Tacchini and Fila and all of those back in the day. I was selling trainers, the latest like gold Diodora or silver Diodora, whatever was fashionable and trending at the time at my age group. So adaptability. I didn't know all of this when I was what I was doing, but when I look back, I can see what I was doing. I adapted to the times. I looked at what was around me. What were people in? What was the demand? Right? What did people want? So it went from sweets to when we were like 13, 14, 15, gaming, handheld gaming. Do you remember Donkey Kong when that came out? Donkey Kong, Nintendo Donkey Kong, and all those little handheld games. I had all of them. I'd go to the local retail shop, Argos, buy them as soon as they came out. None of the other kids could afford them. A handful of parents might have bought one or two of them. The majority couldn't afford these things. I'd buy them and rent them out for 20p a game. People loved it. So this is what I was doing in my lunch hours, right? It was just like, and so I knew like if I rented it out X hundred times, I broke even, and everything after that was all profit forever, as long as the game lasted. Do you know what I mean? As long as the device was there. So I built all of these multiple streams of income from the age of 11 to 15. I was making by 15 around £1,000 a month. £1,000 a month when you're 15 years old back then. So I would have been what? This is 1984. We're talking about there were adults working full-time salaries, £12,000 a year back then. £12,000 a year back then, there would have been adults working a full-time job to make that. And I remember having the conversation at one point. My dad said to me when I was choosing my A levels, he goes, oh, whatever you choose next, and then you go to degree, this is going to shape out your career, your path. It's like going through that conversation. I was like, Dad, I'm not doing any of that. I'm doing what you're doing. Because he did all right out of the shop. Do you know what I mean? He had a good life, a good lifestyle. I was like, why am I going to do all of that? In my brain, I'm like, hold on. I'm making more money now in my lunch hour than the average adult does in 8, 9, 10 hours a day. Why are you trying to force me to go down a road that doesn't make sense to me? Can you see where the brain was already shaped? At 15, 16, I'm having these conversations like,
Well,
sorry,
like
Dad, I'm
quantum thinking, isn't it? It's like it's
yeah,
absurd, right?
it is. I'm sitting there going, what, you're teaching me to go back in my world, you're teaching me to go backward. You're trying to get me to get an education to get a job that will never reward me like entrepreneurship is already rewarding me. The math don't add up. I'd have to be making, just to put that into context, if I was making £1,000 a month in, say, an eighth of the time, I'd have to be making like 100 grand a year in a time when the average wage is 12 grand a year. I'd have to making 8 times as much as the average person to warrant even considering. And that would just keep me to where I'm already. That if I was making 8 times as much as my next door neighbor, I'd be where I am now. That's not incentive. Do you know what I mean? I want to be 8 times where I am, not there.
So it sounded like your dad also was, whilst he had his strengths, he was also a little bit like limited mindset, right?
Yeah. Okay. So brilliant. Because my dad was many people, he was an immigrant to the UK. So East Africa, born and raised. Indian roots. Grandparents moved to Africa to build the railways back in the day. Dad was born and raised, so was mum. Dad in Kenya, mum in Tanzania. They met each other, they got married. I was born in Kenya, and I was a year old when we moved to London in 1970. And that was the time of Idi Amin's ethnic cleansing phase, if you like. It wasn't happening where we were, but it wasn't too far. Uganda's a neighboring state. And so a lot of Indians from Kenya and Tanzania around that pocket moved just out of precaution rather than fleeing and running away in fear. It was just like, hey, listen, do you know what? Things are a bit rocky here. Let's look at other options. And England was like, they had British passports already because the Brits took them from India to Africa. So the default, I guess, was we've got a British passport, let's go to England. And back then, England had a really good marketing and PR globally of streets paved with gold and da 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 and all the stuff that they used to do, Great Britain and all of that. So off they went. Ended up in London, and from the age of one, I was in that environment. So here's another thing that I learned really, really young. From the age of 1 till 4, I lived in a shared house with all of my dad's brothers and their kids and the entire extended family. Over 30 of us living in a four-bedroom terraced house. Not normal for most people. So and being the sponge that I am now, I'm guessing I was probably a sponge from a young age. So I'm just learning from 30 different adults how life works. They're all just getting on with it. They've got their own hustle on. They're working factory jobs, working two, three jobs, working weekends, working evenings. Just it's like a really busy train station, but it's my house. So 1 to 4, I'm in that environment. And then 5 years old, my dad buys the house across the road, or 4 years old, he buys a house across the road. And I'm now with maybe 20 people in the house. Still, like, the numbers were split, but still a lot of people. Till 10. So to the age of 10, I'm surrounded by gazillions of conversations every day, by gazillions of different personality types. I've got no choice but to, if you're a kid and you want to be heard and seen and a part of that environment, then you're going to communicate, aren't you? So free communication lessons at the highest level from age 1 to 10. It's a dream, right? Yeah, and then all of that, and then business education from 10 onwards. By the time I got to adult education, I was buying and selling cars. So the toys just got bigger. Whether it was Mars bars, tracksuits, or cars, the concept was the same. Buy well, sell better, keep the difference. Not rocket science for me.
Buy well, sell better. That's great.
Yeah, right. So for me, this was just what I did automatically alongside studying. Like this was a side hustle. But again, when you're buying and selling a car, you can make a grand per transaction. So now all of a sudden, what will take me a month of hustle in the playground, younger days, in the lunchtime, I'd make a grand. Couple of years fast forward, I could make a grand in a single transaction. So I understood the power of transactions and not time related. Like the other one was lunch hour was my money making time. Now it's like if I sold the car, it didn't matter when I sold it. When I sold it, there was a nice chunk of money coming in. There was way more than doing 100 transactions. I could do one transaction and do the same profit. Oh, that's cool. I don't have to do 100 transactions, or if I did 100 of those, it would be a lot more exciting. Again, another shift of understanding a different way of creating money. And that's how the journey went. I went from that to buying and selling shops. I'd buy rundown shops, do them up, jack up the turnover, the sales, the profits, sell them at a nice premium, look for the next rundown shop. And I was doing that from the age of 19 till 24, 23. So that was my journey. So I was tremendously financially successful by the age of 23. And I wasn't doing it for the money. I was doing it because I loved just creating. Like, what can I do? Like, I can take advantage of this scenario, this trend, this time, this moment. My brain would just see stuff that I could do that was effortless. And I think that's key. A lot of people, when they think of business, it becomes effort. And who wants to do effort? Which is why a lot of people struggle, resist it, fight it, try it, dabble with it, leave it, go back to what they knew. A lot of that happens in the world.
Yeah.
Because for me, it's not that. It's just, oh yeah, whatever. We'll just do that. We'll just buy a shop, flip it, make some, make some profit, chill out for a couple of months. Not time related. You see, again, it's like I wasn't in a rush to buy the next shop because I had enough profit that I'd made. I could buy and sell a shop and make enough for a year of not having to work. Not that I wouldn't, because I'd be excited to, but just to have that as a mindset as well. Like you don't have to work when money's handled. I got those lessons in my early 20s when I sold my first shop. And I was like, I don't have to do anything right. Like, okay, hold on. Everyone's running around like a crazy person trying to make a couple of quid for the day. And I've banked enough for the next year or two. All right, let's chill, see what we want to do next. Do you see? So mindset is for me everything to do with money, everything. Because there's one mindset which is the majority mindset, which is hours for money, and it's the worst way to make money. It really is. It's not an opinion; it's just fact. Because it doesn't matter how much somebody pays you per hour. The minute they stop paying you, you're done. So the worst way is what the world teaches us. Go to school and get yourself a secure job. And I get it because trust me, as an entrepreneur, I've seen the worst days as well. At 23, my dad passed away. It impacted me in ways that I can't even imagine, back then. Complete mental, emotional shutdown. I split up with my then 6 year girlfriend, my first girlfriend from 17 to 23, destroyed the relationship within 6 months because couldn't be asked. I was just like really angry and can't be bothered. What's the point kind of guy. Within a year and a half, I went bankrupt. I lost everything, all the businesses that I'd built over the years, all the benefits that I'd created out of that, all gone. And still didn't care, couldn't be asked. And that went on for about 3 years in total, 23 to 26. And so I spent those years destroying everything rather than before I was a creator, right? So I went from creation to destruction overnight and became Mr. Destroyer for 3 years. And during that 3 years, a lot of questions, no answers that fitted me at that point in time in my life. And then somebody introduced me to network marketing. And I was blown away with the fact that, hold on a second, I can actually make a difference and make money. A new realm opened up for me because a difference was made to me. When I went to this seminar, money wasn't going to excite me because I knew I could make that whenever I wanted anyway, and I didn't want to because I hadn't made any for 3 years. So the financial pitch didn't excite me. The marketing plan didn't mean anything because the financial didn't excite me, and the product could have been anything. What excited me was the people. When I walked into that room, there must have been, I don't know, 800 people in a room that I was invited to, all suited and booted, smiling, laughing, high-fiving, hugging, talking. You can imagine that many people, of which at least half of them were in the deal. So the level of excitement they have with each other, I recognize myself from 3 years ago. I was like, I was that guy. But I never had an environment of hundreds of people that were like me. I was one of these people in a world that was not like me for most of my life. But I was like, there are others? It was like that. I was like, what? It's like I found my tribe. You know what I mean? And I was like, right, whatever this is, I fit. Something shifted inside of me physically. Like I describe it as the lights went back on after 3 years of darkness inside. that day the lights went on. It didn't matter what it was. And it didn't matter if I understood it or not. I was like, I want to be with these people because they lifted my energy immediately as soon as I walked in the room. So for me, network marketing was something I fell in love with instantly without actually experiencing what network marketing was, just as a shift of energy. And yeah, that energy stayed with me from then till now. I went on to learn about network marketing and study it and understand it and master it eventually. And you know, like I said, so today, I what juices me up is if I can make a difference, and then the output of that is financial benefit. There's for me, there's no other way to live life. Like people can make a difference and not make money, which is also beautiful. What we're doing now, right? I love it. Making a difference is what I lead with. And if there's an opportunity that that gets monetized along the way as well, great, happy days. Like it, even to this day, I look at the whole world and I think there's no better way to get paid than to make a difference to others. There's just, for me, as my calling, I get other people that have there's no better way to do it than to screw people in the banking system, for example. You know what I mean? Some people are wired in the way that they're wired. But for me, if I can be of value and service and make the world a better place than when I came into it and get paid for the privilege, flipping hell, come on, mate, are you joking? So for me, that's my passion.
Amazing. Amazing. So yeah, I mean, as I'm listening to you, and I'm sure that other people, whoever does listen to this will be like, yeah, but my situation is different. Of course it's different. Like everyone's got a different situation, right? And I notice, that there's a part of me. I think you'll just laugh this down and show you, so you should. Like, like I'm 59, or like I've missed the boat. Like I don't really know. I mean, maybe I should do what you're doing. Like I've spent 29 years in coaching. I've
Yeah,
I've made a living, but I haven't made, like a
freedom.
financial success, freedom. For me, financial
That's
freedom
it.
it's just like you said, like I can go to the gym, I can go to this, I can get on a plane. I mean, that's freedom, and I think money is an enabler. Money is not like,
Correct. And that's all it is. So it's interesting that you brought up age, isn't it? Because I'm 57, so there's only a couple of years between us. And money, because money's never been my priority, I've never hoarded money. I've never collected money. I've never saved money. I've never, that hasn't been my relationship to money. So similar to where you will make money on a coaching transaction and then spend it, the amount doesn't matter. The value is what matters. I have, so you can't spend the kind of money that I've made in my life, but you can give it away. And that's what I've just done. I'm like, because I don't value it as a thing that I want to hoard. It's not like, look what I'm worth. It's not like, oh, I'm on this list. That's never been the thing. For me, it's just been a byproduct. Do you see? So I have had so many times in my life, and it didn't matter when I was younger, when I've made loads and lost loads. And because I'd made loads and lost loads at 23, I learned that so early, it didn't matter. Like it didn't affect me. There were 3 years where I had nothing. I couldn't care less. Did I know how to make money? Of course I did. Did I want to? No, I just didn't mean it. I don't want money. I want, I want to get me right was the priority then. But once I got me right, I want freedom. I want to make a difference. These are the things that I value. These are the things that drive me. And so money ends up being a byproduct. And sometimes it's good and sometimes it's great and sometimes it's unfathomable. But because I'm not about holding it, I'll just be like, yeah, if somebody comes with a hard luck story, you'll be amazed. When you make money, you'll be amazed how many people around you suddenly need money desperately. Like they're about to lose their house, the kids are about to get starved to death, every single story on the planet. And being a soft person, I've spent my whole life making tons, but giving it all to people that need it. It's like, listen, I don't need it. It's not doing nothing in my bank. Do you know what I mean? It's like, so I've had times where a deal might have shut down and I haven't held on to any of the money that I would have made. But I've not resented it. I've not regretted it. I've not felt bad. I'm like, all right, cool. What's next? So I don't get into a panic about it. I don't know if that helps, if that makes, I see a lot of people get into a panic about stuff. And I guess because I know that there's tons of money in the world, and there's always way to make it because I haven't made it one way. Some people just make money one way. They know one thing and that's all they do their whole life, right? I've done so many things in my lifetime, from the hustling the playground right through. I've had a telecom company, I've had retail businesses, I've had distribution companies, I've had many different kinds of companies. Do you see what I'm saying? Many different experiences that I guess in a part of my brain knows, look, if you want to make money, you can. Let's go and figure out a way. So that's never been a thing. So when I've not had it, it's not been a stress. However, the older I've got, it has.
So it has,
So
it has.
it's become a thing. So I'll give you, and the reason this is important, because you mentioned 57, I was like, yeah, that's 59. I'm 57, very close. I was like, at 50, I had nothing again. So I got to 50 years old. I had made millions of pounds in my career over the last 3 decades or 2.5 decades, millions of pounds. And here I am approaching my 50th birthday without a pot to piss in. And I'm like, and that's when it mattered. Until then, it was like, like that. I don't want to say irresponsible because responsibility is only about what's important to you, right? So it wasn't important to me. So it wasn't that I was irresponsible. It's what I wanted to do. When I gave money away to people to help them with whatever they were doing with over the years, I wanted to do that at that time. About 50, I had to have a wake up call because then I needed some money. And I made a few phone calls, and that's when I had a shock. 'Cause I've never had to do that my entire life. But it came to a point where I downgraded my car twice, and now I needed money to pay some credit card bills off that I'd amassed. And I started making phone calls, and nobody wanted to lend me money. And I was like, wow. So that was a new learning at the age of 50. Whereas my relationship to lending people money was, what else is it for? To being on the other side, and then suddenly nobody else has got that relationship to money. And I'm like, wow, this is interesting. I called up people that owed me money, nowhere to be seen. And then I started looking at that and I'm going, that's interesting, isn't it? Like I'm thinking I'm helping them, but more than helping them, I've enabled them. They're not paying me back. They end up avoiding calls. I end up losing friends because I've helped them out. In my world, I've helped them, but in the world of relationships, I've put a barrier between us. All of this stuff opened up for me, and I was like, flipping hell. So I had to set some new rules up for myself, and I said, right, we're going to make money again, but this time I'm 50, and I don't want to be doing this again at 60 and 70 and 80 if I'm around that long. So let's set it up so that I do what other people do, and whatever I make, I plan it out so that if I don't ever make it again, at least I've got it. So I was right, let's make it to not give it away this time. Let's make it for Kalpesh this time. You know what I mean? So it's never too late. There is no such thing as too late. It is only a shift of how you've been doing it that makes the difference. If that helps. Do you know what I mean? Like you made money for 59 years. So what does that mean? It's too late. It's never too late. You know how to do that, but the way that you treated it when you made it was different because of what was important to you. And it wasn't hoarding it, saving it, or making too much. None of those things were there, right? But you can shift your focus and put it higher on your values and say, okay, I'm getting to the years of my life now where I wouldn't mind a cushion, a safety net, something to not have to think about going forward in life. And if that's there, you can make that shift and then make the next moves according to that blueprint. And it shifts the way you then go out to make the next bit of money that you make. Do you see? Is it going to be survival money or is it going to be big picture money, vision money? And KFC started at, I don't know, I think 60 something, didn't he? Colonel Sanders. There's tons of stories like I'm just like say using it as an example, but the too late thing doesn't exist. It can exist if you make it your reality, but no,
I mean,
you've got
as
your
I
health.
said to you, I mean, it's
Yeah, you've got your health. What's more important now is what plan are you going to make? How are you going to plan the next phase of money in your life, right?
yeah. And what's coming up for me is, I mean, I feel, and as you say, I've got my health as what's that saying about health? If you can have a million problems, if you've got a health problem, you've only got one problem, you know.
Mm.
And and I have my health and I have my vitality and so on.
Yeah,
And that's gold, right? And now
yeah,
what? And then it's like, it's easy to get into practicalities and so on and so forth. Yeah, sure, I can continue my coaching. I mean, there's things that I've seen about, you saying about the hour by hour thing just so doesn't work. I mean, I've got wise to that,
yeah,
selling experience and results and value. Yeah, but hang on a second, you're charging that amount for 2 hours and well, doesn't. And then saying to myself, okay, that's cool. Because I love that work, I love making a difference. And then what if, what if I was to start a corner shop? No, I don't know, like whatever that is, that's something
yeah.
like really out of the box. And I love what you said, buy for that and sell for more. Like it's that margin, it's that kind of compounding, isn't it? Like,
Yeah.
so often I think, well, what
It
about now?
is. There's a couple of words that I've learned as language that I didn't know when I was a kid, but I was doing it by accident. One of them you've mentioned, compounding. Um, Einstein calls it the eighth wonder of the world. If you're compounding, you win, and if you're not, then the system's compounding against you. You lose big. Buying a Mars bar on day one, and this is how compounding works. I was doing it, didn't understand it. I bought the Mars bar. My compound was stupidly through the roof because I didn't actually even buy the Mars bar. I borrowed the Mars bar. But let's just say I bought it. I bought the Mars bar, let's say for 10p, and I sold it for 15p pence. Yeah. I made 50% profit. It's only 5p. You could say it's only 5p, but it's 50%. The next day, I sell another one. I make another 50%. But now I've got double the money, so I can buy two Mars bars on day three, which means that day four, I can buy two Mars bars. I don't have to wait 2 days anymore. Day five and six, I can buy four Mars bars. Day eight, I can buy 10 Mars bars. And before you know it, and they're all your Mars bars. So you started with one and now you've got 10. And it doesn't take long to build up some serious numbers when you're compounding, which is how retail works, right? You only fill your shop up once with stock. Let's say it costs you £10,000 to fill up your stock in your shop. Now, depending on how quickly you sell that, you replace it, you sell it, you replace it. It might take you a month, and then it might take you 3 weeks, and then it might take you two, and then it might take you a week. And now you've got 10 grand a week working for you versus 10 grand a month. That concept is mind blowing. Most people will never know it because they'll never be in a situation to experience it. But that's how businesses go from zero to billions is compounding. It's insane. And then the other one is leverage. And leverage just means numbers, like volume. I could sell one Mars bar to my mate at school, or I could have a shop and sell to 150, 200, 300 people in a day, every day. And then that becomes residual because they're coming in every day. So you've got leverage income, you've got compound income, you've got residual income. These are concepts most people on the planet are never, ever, ever going to see. But in the world of entrepreneurship, that's how money's made. So again, it's interesting because the coaching model isn't entrepreneurship, it's self-employment. It's still for one.
Yeah, unless you create a product range which speaks into what you were just saying there, right? So, you know,
Correct.
and it's kind of, beginning with where you're at. I mean, I wrote a book, for example, and it was a good book, and some people bought it, but it's kind of somewhere, like I mean, it's hilarious. Like when I first got on Amazon, and I put it on, and when you put a book on Amazon, it's a business. Like you don't just put it on and hope for the best.
Correct.
And I even went to it once and I went, oh, okay, The Art of Courage. It's called The Art of Courage. I went, Art of Courage. And there's like a million different things. And The Art of Courage doesn't even feature on page 10. Right? And there are other books that are not even called The Art of Courage. I'm like, what? I went, all right, fine. Art of Courage, Simon Ekin, Sam. And at bottom of page one, I'm like, what?
Oh wow.
so like, I mean, but there is a case in point. I mean, that's a product, that's a
Yeah,
shop.
correct.
And so what if, just out of this conversation, what if I was say, okay, doesn't matter. I wrote it in 2014. So what? No one gives a damn anyway. Like,
Courage is eternal.
again,
Courage is eternal. Doesn't go out of date.
exactly. So out of this conversation, I'm saying, oh, what if I was to apply some of the principles that Kalpesh is talking about, make it a little project, and I'm really doing this in real time, like, oh, flip. Okay,
Mm,
instead of selling three a year, I could get it up to three every 6 months, and then three a month, and then blah 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 blah.
correct. Do you see just that shift of the way that you think about it? Do you know how many people write books? Gazillions of them. Book writing has become a trend in the last decade or so.
How many of them are
How
successful?
many,
How many of them
exactly. How many of them actually get out there, right?
make?
So, did you write the book for you or did you write it for others?
Yeah.
If you wrote it for others, get it out there. What are you doing about that? Most people do it accidentally. Most people actually end up giving them away as a gift because they don't know how to get it out there, how to monetize it, how to sell it, how to promote it. They don't know
You
that. So they end up
often
throwing it
rush from people saying it's amazing, thank you so much. Like,
away.
oh,
Exactly.
I
Yeah.
mean, I spent an entire year writing that book. Yeah, I've made, I don't know how many copies I
Yeah.
was gonna say, got rid of, like,
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Right. So it's interesting. And again, because people come to that, they're inspired to write their story most of the time, what they write about. You wrote about courage, but a lot of people write about their story. So it's passion driven, but not business driven. So then nothing happens after that. They've written it. Okay, cool. Now just collects dust on their own shelf at home. All right. So applying
that
the
is
business.
that's a tangible thing I'm actually going to
Yeah.
take on, and I'm going to let you know how I do it. And I think, I mean, like, it's just like on Amazon, my books, there's some link, and I never get any money for it, like, because the banking link and the tax, it's just like, whatever, just tighten that, like, just get the flow of
Right.
communication going. Like, suddenly now I'm getting payments, like, oh, there's one from Amazon again, like, okay.
There's a little phrase that I like to use. If there's money on the table, don't leave it there. Most people leave all that money on the table.
Amen.
It's
Amen.
little things, just a little thing, right? One go collect the money, and most people leave it there.
So, and I remembered a phrase, content is king, i.e., in my world, the learning and development world, content is king, marketing is King Kong.
Love that. Very good.
So, so there's this
Love that.
book. I wonder if you know it. Hang on a second, I'm just going to grab it. This is such an unexpectedly beautiful conversation, man. This book, I don't know if you've ever come across it. It's
Yeah, yeah, of course. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
And he says, we sit on a mountain of value, but we're looking over there for the next thing. It's like, no, like, if I look at me, like, I mean, yours is such a great story, right? And you'll know what I mean when I say it's just another story, right? I mean, the power of the story is in you sharing it. Like, it was so vivid for me. You talking about 30 people in the house. I mean, what that little brain just absorbed, like 10,000 hours in a very short space of time, right? And then you share the story, and that's the gift you're giving me, is then go, oh, wow, okay, well, that's Kalpesh's story. This is how he's been successful. What's my story?
Yeah.
Whatever, I'm like British Army officer, like bicycle through Africa, ba 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 ba. Like, oh, hang on a second. So yeah, that's the wheels that are starting to turn for me now. It's not about, now I must set up I'm unlikely to set up a spaza shop on the corner, right? I mean, I'd be that wouldn't probably work. But what's the low-hanging fruit that I've got right here? It's right here. And it's just, as
Mm,
you say, it's a mindset shift, man.
yeah, it
Amazing.
is. And you see the world differently, right? Once you shift that mind, you'll start seeing the opportunities that are around you. You're like, oh, I could do that. Oh, I could do that. I could do this. Rather than most people, because they don't make that shift, they're just in the lane that they're in.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean the other lanes don't exist, but you have to go ding.
And the other thing, it's like, I say to myself often, like, I compare myself to these dudes on social media, Tony Robbins and Joe Rogan. It's like, oh no, I've missed that boat. Like, no, 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 no. Those guys are in the top 90%, right? It's like you could have said, oh, what's the point in being an entrepreneur? Like everyone else is an entrepreneur. I mean, it's garbage, right? I mean, it's like, and this is some of the bullshit, that I say to myself sometimes, like, oh. It's like, no, 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 there's only one Kalpesh. There's only one Simon, like now
Yeah.
what's
Yeah.
next?
And not falling for the trap of comparing. Like we all do that, right? We look at Tony Robbins and Simon Sinek and whoever, the name is irrelevant. We look at somebody that's at the top of their game and think that's what we need to do. No, you don't. You don't need to do that. You just need to do the top of your game, not their game. That's their game. Just be at the top of yours, wherever that might be. Find the top of your game.
Yeah, I think it was Mark Twain who said comparisons are odorous, i.e. they stink, right? And also another version of that is comparison is the death of joy. You get a great idea and you see someone else doing it and you go, oh, what's the point, right? I mean, what you don't know is, okay, because the dude's driving a Porsche. Oh, nice. Okay, and he's got a trophy wife and he's got a house on the hill. You want to know what else is going on? That's not going to be shown, right? So it's the whole kind of comparing one's inside
And
with
even that, when we do that, we're writing something off. He might have a great life.
um,
We do a little justification for, oh yeah, but he's probably did it. No, who said you're just making some more stories up?
yeah,
No,
that's
he might
that's
be
just
great
my
at everything.
that's just my identity's way of going. Yeah, you see, like it's hard for me,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, exactly. No, no. Mark Twain also said, and I love this one, nothing to do with, well, maybe something. He said about forgiveness. Maybe, yeah, it is relevant to forgiving ourselves, right? Forgiveness is the scent a flower leaves behind on the shoe that crushed it.
Wow. Mm.
Only because you mentioned Mark Twain, I thought this one that stays with me forever.
That's
And yet,
forgiveness
yeah,
is the scent
the flower leaves behind.
flower leaves behind.
On the shoe that crushed it.
Shoot.
And it's a bit like life crushes us all the time, right? And then we've got to forgive and keep moving forward. Otherwise, you end up getting caught in all sorts of playing small loops. Too scared. What if this? What if that? No, just okay, it happened. Cool. Then what? Move forward with grace, love,
Yeah, and that's
forgiveness.
something I've really noticed and felt about you because like there was been a couple of it. The one was the episode we did with Ekin, and then the other day, and like I really do experience you as in flow. Like I cancelled, postponed, and I was like, oh shit, sorry, man. Like, and you were like, and for me, when I was thinking about this, like this conversation, I was thinking about, I wrote down what I'm interested in is the spiritual aspects of wealth. Because you can do the practical things, but I think if I look at what you've said, it's all been a spiritual approach to it because if it wasn't, you've been saying it was all about money, 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 money. It
Mm,
hasn't. The money's come because you've done what you've loved and you've
yeah.
seen.
I've been blessed, big time blessed. I've been rewarded beautifully by the universe, but it's always been the byproduct. And I always tell that to people that when money can become a byproduct, it doesn't become the thing that weighs you down. You know what I mean? Because we don't need much, really, in reality. We don't need much. And, I was having this conversation with somebody the other day. We're the only animal on the planet that has created this game called money, right? But what do we actually need? Food, water, shelter, clothing, done, right? I know it's like really hard to even perceive. Probably not for you because of the context of what drives you is with the whole naked conversation. But ultimately, we're all good, always. So if that's your starting point, right, just make sure that I'm in a space where food, water, shelter, and clothing is handled. There's no stress all of a sudden. Most people are stressing about this thing called money, but it's just a game. It's not something to stress. It's not something to spend your entire existence leaping from one branch to the next for 40 or 50 years. That's not the purpose or the point. It's such a fruitless exercise. And of course, you want to make all of those things comfortable. You know what I mean? You want to have a comfortable space and a cool, but it's not stress. It shouldn't be. No, it shouldn't be like that's even. But it's just energy. It's a conversation and it's energy. Explore it. Most people don't explore the conversation around money. They just don't even look at it. All they know is if they show up on a Monday and leave on a Friday, they get paid at the end of the week or the month. It's like it's very transactional. As long as I've got enough to cover the commitments I've made it. And that's why when their job is at threat, whenever somebody gets sacked, it makes them uneasy. When they don't get the promotion that they think they should have got, they have a little moan and a complain. When technology comes in and they think, oh no, it's going to take away my job. That's one way of looking at it. Or what are you going to do next? Somebody's already figured out what they're doing next. They've already spotted, right, the AI is there. The job I do would be very easy to replace with AI. What am I going to do next? And the other ones they're frozen by it until the AI comes. And then they go to the point where they're at the end of the cliff and they're falling off the cliff. And then they're going, oh, now what shall I do? Two completely different experiences of exactly the same scenario. It's just the mindset, right? So if you can learn to not be stressed about it and then move into like a creative relationship to it, the whole world opens up.
Amazing. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Lots to chew on there and lots to do, actually. So I'm going to keep you posted on my little project. And thank you so much. I will send this link to you and we can see if there are any comments, any questions. But just thank you, man. That was a beautiful
Thank you.
conversation. I didn't know where it was going to go, but I feel very rewarded and full of grace. And thank you. It's been a really lovely conversation, Cubs.
It has. Thank you. And thank you to Erkan for pointing you my direction. And thank you to you for trusting in that conversation and coming over, right? Because you're right. We haven't got a relationship where we do this. This is the first time where you and me are on a call together this long about something. And, you didn't have to jump on it. It could have been like, oh no, I don't know him well enough, or there could have been loads of
Reason.
stuff that you put in the way. And well done for not doing that and just going, all right, do you know what? Erky says is probably worth it. Let's explore. And that's the thing I always encourage everyone to do: explore, just
Right.
explore. Right. So
Yeah.
beautiful. Well done,
Yeah.
man. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks. And I'm reminded of some very wealthy person said, people are always asking me for money, but they don't want to
Yeah.
ask me how I got it, right? And that's what this conversation's been. Oh, by the way, have you got a couple of quid for me, Carl?
Yeah, exactly. So I didn't finish that actually. So at the age of 50, remember I had to reevaluate anything. One of the rules was, right, I'm not giving it away this time. Everyone's always got a hard luck story. I'm not giving it away. I'm giving it away to me in the future because I've never done that. I've never looked after me. So I always find myself in that bum on the street scenario. And I'm like, okay, let's sort this out because I don't have a problem making it. Let's fix that part of me. Like, what part of me doesn't is not deserving financial security? I've always had financial freedom. I've
Interesting.
always had financial abundance. I've driven the nicest cars, eaten in the nicest restaurants. I've traveled the entire planet. I've done everything everyone wants to do with money. And then to be at 50 and still not have any, I was like, oh, I've never created financial security. And it's like, okay, what's my relationship there? And it's because I don't want to be responsible. I don't want to, own things, look after things, own that whole thing. Oh, where's your share certificates? How many houses have you got? Have you fixed that? I've never wanted any of that. So it's the responsibility of the ownership, right? So hence why I've never kept it. I've just let it flow through me, right? So now I'm going through the phase of life. Okay, let's take on financial security. It's a whole different conversation. So now it's not about making money with what I'm doing. It's about actually planning what I'm going to do with that money that I've made. I've never done that in my whole life. I've never planned anything for my money. It's never had a plan, which is why it's always just gone chung 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 in and out, in and out, in and out. And it's not been a thing until it was then. Yeah. Now made a plan, and it's phenomenal because I'm now like I don't have to do anything. I'm fingers crossed and touch wood. The way I've set it up, bar something really ridiculous happening, which it can. I mean, the recent war certainly, kind of made me, oh, interesting. So even security
Security
has
is
different
ultimately an illusion.
Yeah, even security has different layers of illusion to it, right? Because I like got into property and did some of that over here, and suddenly my rents have gone to like less than half within one global event. And I'm like, that's interesting. Do you see? So there's always, but it's good because I'm like, okay, so there's security is one thing. And then it's like, okay, diversifying the security. Okay, Kalpesh, let's look at diversifying the security. So it's brilliant. It's just the conversation is ongoing, and I'm sure there'll be loads more as I continue to move forward, right? It's a beautiful thing.
Beautiful, man. Well, maybe we'll do this again. Let's see what happens. What I would like to do,
And
yeah, is to rather than this, what's that phrase? A bad insight. Like, hey, Cubs, it's been great. Like, thanks a lot. Like, and then
it'd
fuck
be
off.
good to measure some changes maybe in a month or two.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. I'll
come
certainly
back
check
and
in.
see what impact's been had.
Yeah,
If if there's progress being made, or walls that have come up, or whatever it might be, like what's been the experience after this for you as you go forward to try and implement some new things in your life around the relationship to money.
beautiful. I'm going to put a calendar entry in for a month's time and keep you posted, man.
Love it. Love
Beautiful
you, bro.
stuff. Thanks, Cubs. Lots of love, man.
You too. Take care.
Cheers. Bye.